Hi, I'm Liana. That night when my doorbell rang at 1 a.m., I knew something was terribly wrong. Mom! Melissa's voice trembled as she stood on my porch, face half hidden in shadow. I switched on the porch light and gasped, "Oh my God, Melissa, what happened to you?" Her left eye was swollen shut, mascara streaking down her cheeks. She clutched her side protectively. "Can I come in?" she whispered, glancing nervously over her shoulder. "Of course." I ushered her inside and locked the door. "Sit down. I'll get some ice." When I returned, Melissa had collapsed onto my couch, shaking. I gently pressed the ice pack to her face. "Did Brandon do this?" I asked, already reaching for my phone. Melissa nodded, tears spilling from her good eye. "What are you doing?" she asked, eyeing my phone. "Calling the police." "Mom, no, he'll be even angrier." "This isn't up for discussion," I said firmly. "Now talk to me while I make this call." Melissa stared at her hands. "I found messages on his phone, from Rebecca at his office. They've been together for months. My daughter has been assaulted by her husband," I told the dispatcher. "She's here with me now. She needs medical attention." "When I confronted him," Melissa continued, "he denied it at first, then got angry when I showed him the messages. He just exploded," she said, her voice hollow. "Started yelling about how I never give him space, how Rebecca appreciates him. When I said I wanted him to leave, Her voice broke. My neighbor Elaine appeared at my back door. I waved her in as I finished with the dispatcher. "Oh, honey," Elaine gasped when she saw Melissa. "What happened?" "Brandon happened," I said grimly. "The police are on their way." "The one he mentioned at your birthday dinner?" Elaine asked. "The new marketing manager?" Melissa looked up sharply. "What? When did he talk about her?" "He brought her up several times. I thought it was odd how he kept mentioning her ideas." "And you didn't think to tell me?" Melissa's voice rose. "I didn't want to cause trouble," Elaine said defensively. The doorbell rang. 2 police officers stood on my porch. "Mrs. Jenkins? I'm Officer Chen. This is Officer Murphy. We received a call about an assault." "It's my daughter, Melissa. Her husband did this." Officer Murphy crouched in front of Melissa. "Ma'am, can you tell us what happened tonight?" "He's never hit me before," Melissa finished her account. "But when I said I wanted a divorce, he just snapped." "Where is your husband now?" Officer Murphy asked. "Still at our house, I think." Officer Chen looked up from her notepad. "We'll need you to come to the station, but first you should get checked out at the hospital." "I have the texts," Melissa said. "I took screenshots before confronting him." Officer Chen nodded approvingly. "Smart move. Those will be helpful." As we prepared to leave, Elaine squeezed my hand. "Call me when you know more." I nodded, my mind already racing ahead. This wasn't just about tonight. This was about making sure Brandon never hurt my daughter again. The hospital waiting room buzzed with tension. Melissa had been taken back for examination, and I paced nervously. A man with salt and pepper hair approached, showing a badge. "Mrs. Jenkins, I'm Detective Wilson. I've been assigned to your daughter's case." "Have they arrested him yet?" I demanded. "Officers are at the residence now. I wanted to talk to you while the doctor examines your daughter." We sat in a quiet corner. Officer Chen joined us with her notebook. "Has there been any previous violence?" Detective Wilson asked. I shook my head, then hesitated. "Nothing physical, but looking back there were signs. Comments that would shut her down. He'd dismiss her opinions, especially in front of others." Officer Chen looked up. "Classic isolation tactics." "Mrs. Jenkins," Detective Wilson leaned forward. "Domestic violence cases can be complicated. Victims often retract statements once the initial shock wears off." "Melissa won't," I said firmly. A nurse approached. "Your daughter is asking for you." I found Melissa sitting on an exam table, looking small in her hospital gown. 2 bruised ribs, the doctor explained. Facial contusions and a mild concussion. We're documenting everything for the police report? When the doctor left, Melissa looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. "Brandon's been calling non-stop." You shouldn't talk to him, I said. His sister called too. Says I'm overreacting, that I must have provoked him. My blood boiled. A rough patch doesn't leave you with bruised ribs. The door opened and Detective Wilson entered with a woman in business attire. This is Miss Patel from Victim Services, he introduced. I'm here to support you through the process. Miss Patel smiled gently. For the next hour, Melissa recounted her marriage, the controlling behaviors, the accusations, the affair with Rebecca. Did he ever threaten you before? Detective Wilson asked. Not directly, Melissa said. But he'd punch walls, break things. Once he grabbed my wrist so hard it bruised. Why didn't you say something? I asked. He always apologized, Melissa replied. Said he was stressed at work. My phone rang. Elaine. Liana? The police just left Brandon's house. They arrested him. Good, I said. There's more, Elaine continued. I called David. He's on his way to meet you. And Liana? Julie is telling everyone Melissa attacked him first. Of course she is, I said. There's something else. Elaine's voice lowered. According to David, Brandon's previous girlfriend filed a police report against him 6 years ago. What previous girlfriend? I asked, stunned. When I returned to the room, Detective Wilson was finishing up. We'll take your formal statement at the station, he was saying. Your husband has been arrested. What happens next? Melissa asked. Miss Patel explained, there will be an arraignment hearing. The judge will determine bail and issue a temporary restraining order. After they left, I told Melissa about Brandon's previous girlfriend. That's not possible, she whispered. He told me I was his first serious relationship since college. Well, he lied, I said, pulling out my phone, and we're going to find out what else he's been hiding. The courthouse hallway echoed with footsteps. Melissa sat beside me on a wooden bench while my brother David shuffled through papers. The restraining order hearing is separate from the criminal charges, David reminded us quietly. The elevator doors opened and Brandon emerged with his attorney and Julie. My fingers curled into fists. Don't, David warned. Any confrontation will hurt our case. Julie marched directly toward us. How dare you do this to my brother, she hissed. You know he'd never intentionally hurt anyone. David stood between us. Miss Evans, I suggest you step back. Your brother has been charged with domestic assault. Because she's manipulating the system. Julie jabbed a finger toward Melissa. She attacked him first. That's a lie, Melissa said, her voice stronger than I expected. Is it? Julie sneered. Everyone knows you've been jealous and paranoid for months. Your brother sent my daughter to the emergency room, I interrupted. Those bruises didn't appear by magic. A court officer approached. Ladies, I need to ask you to separate. Inside the courtroom, the district attorney, Miss Torres, greeted us. New information has come to light, she informed us. We've located Kara Winters, Brandon's ex-girlfriend who filed the previous report. Is she willing to testify? David asked. Yes. Her statement significantly strengthens our case. For the next hour, Miss Torres presented evidence medical reports, photographs, officer testimony. Brandon's attorney argued that the incident was isolated, that Brandon had no criminal record. Your Honor, Miss Torres countered, I'd like to introduce a statement from Kara Winters, a previous victim of Mr. Evans's violence. Brandon's head snapped up. His attorney leaned over, whispering urgently. Judge Michaels granted the permanent restraining order. Outside, I spotted a woman speaking with Detective Wilson who resembled Melissa. Same build, similar coloring. That's her, Melissa whispered. That's Kara. I wanted to be here, Kara explained when we approached. When Detective Wilson contacted me, I couldn't believe Brandon had done it again. Again? Melissa echoed. Kara nodded. He was charming at first. The violence started after we moved in together. When I finally left, he stalked me for months. Why was the case dismissed? David asked. His family hired an expensive attorney, Kara explained. They pressured me to drop the charges. Well, we're not dropping anything, I stated firmly. Brandon and Julie appeared in the corridor. Brandon's eyes locked with Melissa's, then shifted to Kara. The color drained from his face. You, He sputtered at Kara. What are you doing here? Mr. Evans, Detective Wilson stepped forward. Approaching Miss Grant violates your restraining order. I'm not approaching her, Brandon snapped, pointing at Kara. But I have every right to ask what my psycho ex is doing at my hearing. Any outburst will be noted in my report to the DA, Detective Wilson warned. This is a setup, Brandon shouted. You're all conspiring against me. The only conspiracy, I said evenly, is the one you created when you lied about your past and abused my daughter. You stay out of this, he snarled, taking a step toward me. Officer Chen immediately moved between us. Sir, step back now. Or what? Brandon challenged. You'll arrest me again? For what? For violating a court order, Officer Chen replied calmly. Brandon laughed bitterly. All this because Melissa couldn't handle that I found someone better? That's it, Officer Chen said, reaching for her handcuffs. Mr. Evans, put your hands behind your back. As Officer Chen cuffed Brandon, he looked directly at Melissa with rage. You'll regret this. I promise you that. That sounded very much like a threat, Detective Wilson said. Officer Chen, add threatening a protected person to the charges. As they led Brandon away, Julie gave us one last venomous glare. This isn't justice, she hissed. This is a witch hunt. No, I replied steadily. This is accountability. 6 months later, sunlight streamed through my living room as Melissa, Kara, and I sorted through moving boxes. Is this the last of it? Kara asked, sealing a box labeled kitchen. Almost, Melissa replied. Just some clothes left in the closet. We developed an unexpected friendship with Kara over the months of legal proceedings. Have you heard anything from Julie lately? Kara asked. Melissa shook her head. Not since the sentencing. Brandon had been sentenced to 18 months in prison, with 5 years probation. The prosecution had used his courtroom outburst, combined with testimony from both Melissa and Kara, to build a compelling case. Restraining order's been extended for 10 years, I reminded them. The doorbell rang. Zoe, Melissa's best friend, entered carrying coffee. How's it going in here? She asked, distributing the cups. Almost done, Melissa said. Thanks for letting me store all this at your place until I close on the new condo. That's what friends are for, Zoe replied. I'm just happy to have you back. The old you. It was true. I'd watched my daughter slowly reclaim herself, her confidence, her voice, her independence. David called this morning, I said. The divorce was finalized yesterday. Melissa exhaled deeply. Finally. He also said Brandon's former employer settled the workplace harassment suit that Rebecca filed, I added. After Brandon's arrest, it had come to light that his relationship with Rebecca wasn't as consensual as he'd claimed. She'd filed a complaint about his persistent advances months before the affair supposedly began. I still can't believe I never saw it, Melissa said quietly. All the signs were there. Abusers are experts at making you doubt yourself, Kara pointed out. The front door opened, and David appeared with some legal papers for Melissa. The deed transfer is complete, he said. The house is officially on the market. Thank you, Melissa said, scanning the documents. Melissa's phone rang. She stepped into the kitchen to take the call, returning with an odd expression. Brandon's appealing the sentence, she said. And his family's trying to get him into some alternative program. What did Miss Torres say? David asked. That it's a long shot, Melissa replied. The evidence is too strong, but they're trying. Of course they are, Kara sighed. They've always cleaned up his messes. I told Miss Torres that I won't oppose the appeal, Melissa said unexpectedly. What? Several voices exclaimed. Melissa held up her hand. I won't oppose it because I don't need to. The case doesn't rest on my testimony alone anymore. He's going to lose the appeal, and I don't need to waste any more energy fighting him. I studied my daughter's face, seeing not resignation, but quiet strength. For years, my life revolved around his moods, his needs, his approval, Melissa continued. No more. 2 new chapters. Kara raised her coffee cup. We all clinked our cups together. You know what I've been thinking about? Melissa said. That night, when I showed up at your door, Mom, if you hadn't called the police immediately, But I did, I said simply. Because you knew I deserved better, Melissa finished, even when I wasn't sure. Later, as everyone helped load the boxes into Zoe's SUV, I watched my daughter. The bruises had long since faded, but the changes they had catalyzed remained. She moved differently now, spoke more directly, laughed more freely. Ready to go? She called to me. Absolutely, I replied. As we drove away, Melissa turned to me. Do you think other women are out there right now, making the same excuses I made? Probably, I admitted. I wish I could tell them it doesn't have to be that way, she said. That asking for help isn't weakness. Maybe someday you will, I suggested. When you're ready. She nodded thoughtfully, looking ahead toward the future that waited beyond Brandon's shadow.